So I got to do a little trip to Pensacola, Florida, where the Oriskany just happens to be. And it was fantastic that we were able to dive the Oriskany on the first day. We were there for 4 days. We were supposed to dive 3 days on the Oriskany, but we only got 1 day in. The alternative days, we actually got to do some cave diving, so I'll create another video for that. But today we're going to talk about the Oriskany. So this is one of a handful of dive charters that you can take out of Pensacola. Hui was highly recommended to me by some friends I know, and they also hooked us up with an amazing guide named Barry.
14. I got it. Great video. Yeah, it's gonna be like, so bouncy. What are you looking at? I don't know what.
Every comment.
So this was the dive plan. Our guide was diving a JJ. I'm in my Rebo. And my buddy Brian is in open circuit back mount doubles. The objective or the mission, we were going to drop down on the tower. We were going to stay on the port side of the ship. Just in front of the structure, there's this opening right here that you can see in the video. This will take you into the hangar. And in the hangar, there's a fill tube or a drown tube. They cut these tubes into the ship so that it would fill up with water quickly. It's tube 110, if that means anything to you about the Oriskany. So this flood tube number 110 is where we staged our deco bottles, and we then, after staging our deco bottles, we dropped down one level into the Combat Information Center. A really, really cool dive. If you ever have the opportunity to spend some time in Pensacola and you're a tech diver, I highly recommend to dive the Oriskany. If you're a recreational diver, you can dive this dive, but you can only do the command tower. The airstrip, or I don't know, the landing strip on the ship sits at around 145 feet. So it is a much more advanced dive than your basic open water. You're going to want a minimum of advanced, and if you're tech, more power to you, because this is an amazing dive. Here we are in the hangar. We had entered the hangar and we were turning around, and Barry is staging his bottle right now. So he's hanging a strobe and his stage bottle. The hangar itself is a pretty cool dive. I believe we're in about 150 feet of water, 155, and it's a big giant room, so you'll need some decent lights if you want to explore the hangar. But we're working on, I think all three of us just donned our deco bottles. I'm carrying my bailout with me, and we dropped down one more level. So Barry's on his way down a level right now. Brian follows him after, and I take the rear. And he leads us over to the doorway to the CIC room. We're now making our way to the doorway into the CIC room, and Brian takes the lead because I figure he's an open circuit. I'll just follow him, which is a blessing, and it can be a bummer too, because you're following someone right after, and if they stir up the bottom at all, you get a crummy viz. But Brian's a good diver. Here's the entryway that we took, and there is a line that runs around the outer perimeter of the entire CSC. So you'll soon just about see that line that we follow. Easy dive, cool exits, if you know what I mean, in regards to having to bail out if viz turns to poop at any given point. But you can see that line on the left hand side. There were a bunch of radar machines, I guess you can say, in the CSC. Really cool, lots of scuttled items. It's not a very well organized room, but you can see the lines running throughout the room. So definitely had eyes on the line, and was definitely in close proximity to that line in case visibility went to nothing. One thing our guide did say in regards to the silt in the Oriskany, because it's a metal ship, a lot of the silt, it has heavy metals into it. So if you get into a silt out situation, he said just take your time, let it kind of settle in, and eventually the visibility will clear up. So here's a little bit of silt that I'm passing through now. Yeah, kind of a bummer, but it is what it is when it comes to wreck diving. So at this point, we're at the deepest point of our dive, which I believe is in the 185, 190 range. Really cool room, so there's a lot to see. They obviously filled this room full of different things you can look at as a diver. And so I'm manipulating my lights. I'm trying to use one hand to hold the GoPro and then the other hand to hold the light. There were a couple times that I had to put the GoPro and the light in the same hand, and so you see some of these blank spots occasionally. So here we go, trying to adjust the light. Continued on into the room. I could have easily spent way more time in this room, but because of the depth, I was limited on how much time I can stay at this depth. So I just recorded everything I can see inside of this room. So we're now kind of heading towards the exit, and it got a little tight in this section. So, obviously I don't want to get tangled into the line. So you got to, ascend a little bit over the line, and then you have the ceiling that you have to worry about. And you don't want to get all caught up because there are some things, I think it's a couple of pieces of wire that are dangling. So it's starting to get a little tight here, and so I'm kind of hovering over. Still want to take as much video footage as I can. And over to the left, you'll see here soon, is the exit. So I saw this sign, the asbestos. There's actually asbestos signs all over this ship. So I'm assuming they didn't care back then, obviously. The walls were definitely filled with asbestos, but here's a room just before the exit that I thought, hey, let me take some additional footage of this as much as I possibly can, and then go ahead and make my way to the exit. Finally made our way out of the CSC, then we ascended one level and retrieved our deco bottles and made our way towards the exit. And at this point, I believe Brian was getting kind of low on gas, so we had to split up as soon as we made the exit. So all three of us exit through where we entered, and here you can see Brian looking back to make sure that I'm on my way out. And then I finally exit. We go and ascend back up to the tower. That's where the upline is for the main boat that took us here. And eventually Brian peels off, and I kind of do a couple of loops around the control tower of the ship with Barry, which was really cool because I got to see the flight deck, and you got to see the different rooms within the control tower. And there were a lot of fairly large fish. There was definitely a lot of good-sized tuna, if that's your kind of thing. I know one of the guys on this dive, he was a spear fisherman, so he kind of did a little bit of fishing during the dive. But again, like I said, if you ever get the opportunity to dive on the Yukon, the Oriskany. The Yukon's a local ship in San Diego. Highly recommend it. It was well worth it. A bull shark did make its way, and I think later on there's some footage on that. It was kind of far away to actually get a good shot of it, but there's a lot of larger fish all over this ship, and so very cool that we got the opportunity to dive it. And the visibility was pretty amazing as well. Here's where Brian continued his ascent, and Barry and I, because we're in our rebreathers, we do a few laps around the control tower. On the deck, you can see there's you can see a bunch of shells. So I'm assuming fish take their shells or their clams or mussels or shelled fish and have a feast. And as they eat the shells of the deceased sushi that the fish just ate settles on the ship deck. But lots and lots of shells on the ship deck, a lot of rust, not a lot of coral. I'm assuming that's because of depth here on the ship. So you do see some plantation and vegetation on the ship, but not a lot. And everything's sort of rusty brown. So I'm making my turn around the control tower, and the flight deck is my understanding is that the flight deck is partially metal, but mostly wood. And so there's a lot of bare spots on the flight deck because apparently they used a lot of wood back in the earlier ships. Here's that tuna I was telling you about. These guys actually kind of hung around us. I don't know if they just kind of thought we were interesting, but obviously in a rebreather we make no bubbles, we have barely any sounds, and so I'm sure they were just as curious of us as we were of them. So the current on the flight deck was starting to pick up, so I had to kind of work my way towards the middle part of the control tower that has withered away, but current's pushing us back, and so I'm just following Barry. And here's where he points out the commanding officer's room. He'll point this out to me, be like, "Hey, come here, check this out." He verbally told us up above that he'll point out the command. The commanders or the head of the ship. That's where his stateroom is. Here comes the tuna again, doing a little swim by. This one was very curious. Occasionally it would swim by my head, and you can tell it's eyeballing me. It's like literally, you can see his eyeball kind of make a lot of, quick movements as he's watching me. Here's the cutaway that we swam up. We basically did 2 wraps around the command tower, but here's where it's kind of broken up. So we swam around this twice as we continued to ascend, because now we're getting up to a half hour, 40-minute commitment of decompression, and so we're definitely going to make our way up a little quicker here. Now we're almost at the very top of the command tower. And so we can see that there's different little rooms you can look at, and we were really lucky to get some amazing viz. So Barry does another quick little loop around the command tower, and as we come through the breakaway part is where the bull shark swam by. And again, we didn't get great footage because the bull shark was kind of away. Here's our favorite tuna fish friends. I wasn't kidding about the tuna. They literally love circling us. A little unnerving when we saw the bull shark, so I thought, well, hopefully the bull shark doesn't think that we're tuna as well. But no, these guys looked chilled with us. It was kind of cool. And so this is when Barry notices the bull shark, and he just signaled me that there's a shark down below. I didn't get him on video, but here's the bull shark. It's kind of far away, so I zoomed in as much as I possibly could. But the bull shark has about 12 scavenger fish following it. So, again, coverage is not very good, but you can see the haze of fish following the bull shark. So we're making our final loop, and we're at the very top of the command tower where the flags were just recently replaced just last week. There's the upline. So we had a 38-minute deco commitment. So with visibility being as amazing as it was, we got to see a really nice, perfect silhouette of the command tower, and you could almost see the deck. Here's Barry and Brian and I hanging on the line. We're at different deco commitments, but it was amazing. You have to go visit the Oriskany if you have the opportunity. I hope to see you down below.
This is the speed that Shark Quest boat goes all the time. They're like, it's the perfect boat for watching dolphins jump. Like, yeah, but you're wide open. I think they gave up. I think they put up.
Are we still there? I still see her doing right there. Just real.
Hitching a ride.
Four. Five.
Something like it.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to be rescued by dolphins. I was stranded at sea for 6 hours.
Really?
Yep. And during the time, dolphins circled me, feed